had too many of them this fucking since Wednesday. Oh, the dumb one was a fucking critical role meeting. Jesus Christ. It's just fun because we're all talking.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it's like, fuck, it's 3:00 and I've got a science panel. They're like, oh, what about the jury? I'm like, just stop.
You're gonna love Dojo Meshi so much.
I've been told that numerous times already. I'm like, okay.
Also, since she's just
somebody told me I need to cosplay Seshi. Okay. Is that the cook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, they're all chefs.
They're all chefs? Oh, okay.
But Senshi is more attuned to cooking monsters at the beginning of the show.
Got it.
But he's definitely the one. Everybody else has other thoughts. Senshi only has cooking thoughts.
He's the one in the armor that you can just see eyes and a mustache, right? Okay.
And the mustache doesn't even. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I've been waiting for that one for way too long. But yeah, that's any of the fan service stuff is of Senshi, not of the women in the show.
That's amazing. Okay. All right. Yeah, I had literally had not seen it. They put me on the panel, and finally I'm just like, why am I on this panel? It's because you're a professional dungeon master. I've never seen the show. It's that's the point.
It's more than that because you love the actual science of ecology, monsters and stuff, and that show is way deeper than any of the show.
I got to talk about how gelatinous cubes clean dungeons.
Yeah.
And that if the DM knows what he's doing, and you're ever in a campaign and you walk into a perfectly clean fucking dungeon, there's a problem because you won't see it. Unless you use one of the blue tinged ones, which is fun. Because then you have the blue tinged ones, but then you have the clear one coming up behind you. I make devious traps. I kill my parties. It's just what happens. Although I've been running the same game. It's the first time, my 5-year online game, we are all here. We are playing a one-shot tomorrow, and I'm stupid stoked.
Have you all met each other in person? Individually?
8 of us. 8 of us are on the science track. One of them just could never make the drive. And he's North Carolina, family, the whole thing. But then all of a sudden, I'm like, dude, I get a +1. I'm putting your name on it. If you're not there, I'm driving up to fucking North Carolina. I'm going to throw you in the truck. And I'm going to take you back down. It's I'll be there. I have to stay by the airport. I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. There's mass transit. Sunday afternoon. You, me, 7 other people, fucking 4 hours. Let's do this.
8:30. Do you want to wait or do you want to get started?
Yeah, because Omega said at least gonna be late.
Okay.
May not make it.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you written your name?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. But Greg. How about that? Why does Greg look more capital than Leather?
Because my last name is too long and nobody really cares about it. It also brings up more questions that I'm willing to answer most of the time.
Yeah.
I have a disability, so I only write in caps.
I just write in caps because that's
I
write.
Yeah, I just do bigger caps for the caps.
Oh yeah, that's how I do it. The capitals are bigger.
He recognizes whether he's capitalizing or lowercase things, and there's no rhyme.
They changed the lowercase.
Hey, that happens.
All right, Logan.
All right,
It is time.
It is time. Hello.
Past
Whoa.
time.
Are we
Yeah,
recording
woke
this
everybody
too?
up.
I believe.
You were in the panel for how to actual play and keep it fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bona
Such a
Fides-
difficult prospect.
it
really is.
It is.
It
Yeah.
can be.
That is not. Yeah. It's very important though. So I'm glad to be doing this for the second year in a row. And so my bona fides are that I've been doing this show called Very Random Encounters, which is a podcast where we play pen and paper RPGs and randomize as much as possible. We've been doing that show for 7 years with the same cast of 4 people. Me, Greg, and our friends Wheels and Lee are also on that show. And yeah, we've made it work for that long. This doesn't have to be for podcasts. It's just They are
Yeah,
loving,
they are very
they
excited
loving
about
so
what we're doing
far.
right now.
I'm excited about that.
Really good.
Look, it's not really that kind of energy panel. Yesterday was the VRE live show. That was that.
That was that.
the
That was that.
I missed that. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
It's
But anyway, yeah, Logan Jenkins here. I would love to go down the panel of our illustrious guests.
no, you go next.
No.
Why? Okay, fine. Hi, Trevor Valley. I've been playing D&D and role-playing games in general for 40 years. Professional dungeon master. I've written for Wizards of the Coast, Modifius, recently, handful of other things, and I'm also on multiple actual plays and multiple charity streams. I don't have a life unless it's online. It's weird.
It's not that weird.
It's not that weird.
It's not that weird.
Yeah. And I'm Greg. So part of VRE, the show that we've been doing for 7 years, as we said. I'm a game designer. I have my own game company, sort of. I write games, but also do the podcasting thing. You can find my stuff. If you've heard the game Glitter Hearts, that one's mine. Before we get started, we're going to talk about the Dragon Con charity. The charity this year is the Arthritis Foundation of Georgia chapter. The number one cause of disability in the U.S. is arthritis. It affects nearly 60 million adults and hundreds of thousands of children. Dragon Con will match up to $125,000 in donations. Last year, the con raised $272,000 for the charity, but this year we're going to try to kick it up a notch. You can donate up here, for those of you who are here, with coins and cash in the bucket. There are also QR codes on the table banner. There's also going to be a virtual 5K where you can get a cool medal and you can help raise money for the Arthritis Foundation. Don't forget to tell them that the digital media track is your favorite. So we can be the inspiration for the medal next year. And if you want to connect with this track after Dragon Con, there are more QR codes that will take you to places and they'll be around.
How do you do a virtual 5K?
Everybody runs with an app tracking your
General movements and stuff. Oh, that's cool.
Like you.
So anyone that signs up for it here at Dragon Con will
have blown it out of the water.
Yeah.
It's like, I've got a thing to go in the Hyatt, and I'm at the Westin. Okay, cool.
And you have 2 seconds to get there.
Right.
Go.
I just ran that 5K.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. He's in the middle of it. Yeah.
Omega Jones was supposed to be on the panel.
May still be, depending if they show up.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Anywho.
There's an important matter they had to attend to. Okay. All right. Now that we've got intros out of the way, I think our first question should be, what's the difference between an actual play and an at-home game?
Other than one is filmed and one is not?
Yeah, I mean, but when I can say personally that, like, if I'm recording something, you just immediately have a different energy.
Right.
Like you're doing a thing for entertainment as opposed for other people's entertainment as opposed to your own, which can be really different.
Yeah.
Well, home games tend to be you're hanging out with your friends. Only 2 actual plays in history have successfully done anything about that. One is a bunch of nerdy-ass voice actors, and the other one is a bunch of improv people, and both of them have started their own streaming networks. Actual plays and home games are radically different because home games, you're comfortable with each other. You may know each other. A home game rarely transfers into an actual play.
Yep.
Because in an actual play, you have a time constraint, you have scheduling, you have pre-recording, post-recording, all of that editing, everything that has to go into it if it's a larger production. If it's not, if it's just Twitch streamed, but your audience won't get your in-jokes.
Yeah, they will not know what. Also, what's funny to you is not necessarily funny to a wide variety of people. The context that your play group at home has for the funny thing you just said does not mean anybody else knows that context.
No, it's a melting lead balloon on fire onto a train wreck while a plane hits it. It is just not, it does not translate. The best, with the exception, of course, of the 2 big ones, the best actual plays are people that know each other, but have only played together once or twice.
Mhm.
and then they start something.
Mhm.
That's how Dungeon Run started, Glass Cannon, all of those, and entire networks have started. That's the number one. When I saw this, I'm like, oh, cool. I'm on this one again. And I read the title, and it really sums it up to one sentence, because a home game, you'll always have fun because you're all friends. How to actually play and keep it fun? You make sure you're having fun, and then your audience will have fun with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That literally, that's it. But you can't make it just your fun. As a DM, and funny enough, one of my home players is here.
Hey.
The thing with actual plays that also work is that it's the player's story. It's not the dungeon master's story. The dungeon master is the bookends. It's just the cover. The levels are the chapters. The different events are the plot twists. The die rolls are the plot twists.
Mhm.
But it's the player's story.
Mhm.
The DM just sets the setting. If you want it to be fun and believable, you want the characters and the players to tell their story. If they don't get to, then it's just not fun for them, and it's not fun for anyone watching, which is the difference between a home game and an actual play.
Yeah.
I mean, it can still be not fun.
Yeah, of
It may
course,
still not
yeah.
be fun.
But like at home games, you get to step back and take a break. When you're recording for 4 hours straight, there's no break unless it's like, we're going to take 15 minutes for a bio break and make sure you hydrate and things like that. It's like, if something happens, you have to, like, everything's typing, safety measures are coming into place, things are going on in the background, and it detracts from the audience.
Yeah.
Mhm.
As long as you're having fun, the audience should be having fun,
Yeah.
or they should be worried about the characters or anything like that.
Invested.
Invested, yeah. It's like not necessarily emotionally, but narratively invested.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you also need to make sure that your audience is invested in all the characters, which it's very easy for a home game where you're like, we're going to get to your character 2 sessions from
Yep.
now, which can happen. Like, we're not going to follow your Kill the King quest at this point in time.
We just went through that in my home game.
I know how these things work.
I know, right?
I've been doing them for a long time too. When you do that to a person on a show, they have, or most likely will have, people who listen just for them who will
Mhm.
be like, where are they? They got to do nothing. And you can sort of promise, well, we'll get to it in a little bit. That's not necessarily going to work.
Yeah, you have 6 characters, you lose a sixth of the audience
Yeah.
immediately.
And then they're like, well, are they going to be back next time? And if you do the same thing where, okay, well, the king hasn't returned yet, we'll get to you next time, people start not caring about that person. That person who's playing that character will get feedback from an audience that they are not important. You have to be mindful of everybody who is there and making sure that they are touched upon or given something interesting to do or allowed space to breathe. Even if nothing pushes forward, they got to shine on that episode somehow.
Right.
And you have to structure. You really need to structure what your actual play game is going to be. We don't, because we've been at it for 7 years, and we have natural rhythms. But there are times
it has been structured, but
Right.
it's like
Yeah.
baked into us, like the rhythm of it.
But
We're
at the
very-
start, we had a lot of stops. It'd be like, okay, this isn't working. What do we do here?
But you're developing it as an actual play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't start as a home game.
No.
Right, exactly.
Right.
It was actually, we started exactly as you said was the best way, which is like we had played 1 or 2 games
Yep.
together. And-
Assemble a cast you
Yeah.
trust.
Yeah.
Not that you know,
Yeah.
but a cast that you trust.
That's so talking about casting. It is a great thing to have a bunch of friends that you got together and you say, okay, I want to make an actual play. But everybody needs to be invested in the show's success, not just in playing a game together.
Yeah.
Because if you just want to play a game together, you should just do that because there's not any pressure on it. There's a whole bunch of other duties you have to do if you're going to take it to an actual play.
Yep.
We're lucky enough that like I get to split the editing duties with Wheels because they love that just as much. Like we're both very concerned about get a lot out of editing, but also we don't have to do it every time.
Yep. And I don't have to do it at all.
But Greg does most or all of the social media stuff.
I am very comfortable talking to a lot of people. I'm very comfortable reaching out to a lot of people. I don't care if people get mad at me usually. I don't care if they feel slightly offended because I asked them a simple question. Those things don't bother me. I don't have a problem going up and talking.
You're
to
like the
people.
god
It's a
tier
superpower.
community manager.
It's a
Yeah.
superpower, yeah.
Jeez.
So I handle pretty much all of the social media stuff. I make sure stuff gets put out. But that's the other thing about actual plays is, unlike your home game, you have to promote it. And you have to come up with something interesting to say about your home game that can be summed up in about the 10 seconds people will care. And make a really good pitch for it. And then you have to continue being invested in that pitch and seeking out your audience for the entire lifespan of your actual play. You will never stop trying to find people. You will never stop trying to advertise your show. You will never stop trying to find connections with new people or somebody in this space. I go to a lot of cons now and people are like, oh, do you go there for fun? I'm like, sort of. I go there as a hobby career because half of my time I'm working on a thing that doesn't really pay me. I'm working on a thing that I have a passion project for that we are making. But I now go to most cons where half of my time is me trying to talk to people, trying to find connections, trying to find people who listen to our show, make sure that they're helping fund our trips here so that they get a chance to talk to us, they see us, setting up those opportunities. There's just a lot behind the scenes to do an actual play that is somewhat successful, or that you all don't feel that you're just shouting into the void, because it's really easy to put something out there and nobody listens to it and think, well, I don't want to do this anymore. Nobody cares.
You also don't need production in a home
Right.
game.
You
Like,
don't. Yes, I
yeah.
don't need production.
Yeah, you're doing that. You're doing the social media. You're splitting editing with Wheels and all that. But then, like, not even the big ones. Just think of the fact that every Twitch stream that's an actual play has somebody maintaining the stream and moderating the chat room at minimum.
Mhm.
Then you have pre-recorded ones. Like a great example is Children of Erte with Dreamwist with Jennifer Kretschmer. Those were pre-recorded for the most part and then edited, but then occasionally it would be thrown into a live game. That completely upsets the whole deal because you have to get that's wild. Or Idle Champions or Black Dice Society or all that unfortunately ended up being short-term ones. The amount of crew behind the scenes is huge. You have sound people, hopefully not one person doing all of it, but you have to have sound. You have to make sure that everybody has a stable connection in order to not drop the video feed. I know not having a
Not
stable
having
connection
cable
just
is terrible.
sucks.
It's the
Crazy.
worst.
So scary.
Like, oh my God. All you need is like somebody to be like, okay, so I'm going to start the drag. Yeah. But there's so many people behind. You may have 6 people on screen and there's 12 behind it.
Yeah.
Like, especially, God forbid, somebody has to be using OBS and a Stream Deck and doing different, like, oh, these 2 characters are talking. Let's go to a 2-shot.
Yeah.
Trust me, being a DM and a player in some of these, I'm just sitting here going, I don't want their job
Yeah.
ever. But
that's why so especially for like smaller productions, like our podcast is just us, the 4 people, and so people who are interested in that, like let everybody who's part of your cast do what they feel passionate about for the project.
Yes.
And I have a group of friends at home who were doing a podcast that ultimately fell apart because only one person did everything, and the other 3 refused to help. And it got to a breaking point where he was just like, I don't think any of you care about this. I can't do all this work. So if you're not picking up some of my duties, we're done. And the answer was, they're done.
Yeah.
They stopped.
Yeah, I cannot count. I don't have enough appendages to count the amount of times I've watched that happen.
Yeah. It happens a lot.
And also like stuff ends, everything, and you, as long as you are proud of what you have made so far, that always exists, right?
Mhm.
Like the VOD, I mean, maybe that's more ephemeral, but your art is your art. And if everybody who was making it was passionate about it, it's probably going to be good forever. And you have that. Like, so don't lose that value of it either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That was like 17 questions.
But it was, it's all very important. Like that is literally the difference between home and actual.
Yeah.
Home game, you're all sitting around one table or in one Zoom call, rolling dice, using D&D Beyond if you're using that, anything like that. And then you're in an actual play with people that you kind of know, rolling the same dice, using the same system, and then all of a sudden you're just hearing in your voice in your headphones, it's like, hey, can you get closer to your mic? They can't hear you in chat. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I will lean forward.
Yeah, exactly.
Turn up your gain.
Oh
Turn
my
up your
God.
gain.
Fix your green screen. What do you mean? Your color isn't right. Re-chroma key it and OBS. Oh my God.
I'm in the middle of something.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm trying to kill this mind flayer.
Yeah.
This is why we do a podcast that
Right.
Not a video.
pre-edited.
Yeah, we don't do that. I have done a number of streams. I've been very blessed that people want to run my games on streams. And I am very upfront with them and say, I don't know how to do this. You need to be very, very explicit about how I fix it. Because I don't know what I'm doing. I am here to run the game.
Yeah.
I will leave the rest to you.
Absolutely. I'm also, people are like, hey, why don't you stream your own games? It's because I have a 2011 HP workstation
Wow.
that can barely run Age of Empires 2.
Honestly, good job to that thing for kicking it.
Yeah,
this long.
good job.
Hey,
Good work.
I take care of it. I'm getting the you are not good for Windows 11 like
Oh,
every
I'm
single
getting that and
time.
have a more relevant
Right.
computer.
But it's just like it runs OBS when it needs to. If I close every other tab, I can run a Zoom call,
Oh,
and it's great.
yeah, that's
It's
good.
great. And it works every home game. It's solid, which is great. That's all it needs to be. Because with an actual play, I'm just like camera and internet connection. That's all I need.
what's your favorite system specifically for actual play, and why?
Well, combat is almost never fun to listen to unless there's a narrative thread through it, and very complicated combat system games like D&D and Pathfinder and a bunch of them that are really war simulation ones are really hard to make interesting. When your home game, you're like, we're just doing one combat tonight, and that's 3 hours. When you edit it down, that's maybe 20 minutes. When you take out all of the stuff of people looking up rules and looking up what the role means and the person deciding. It's hard to say I have a favorite because we've literally played so many different games on VRE. For very personal reasons and selfish reasons, I do like Powered by the Apocalypse. I think the narrative
That's a good
one, it just is a narrative system and it lends itself to easy roles and easy explanations. I will also say a high narrative system is the Genesis system. It is not easy to play, however. I always say that Genesis is easy on players. It is a nightmare for a GM to run that game because they are bad at setting what levels are in that game.
If you're unaware, the Genesis system has a very complex proprietary dice.
Yeah.
Where you have to there's like 5 different kinds of proprietary dice you roll. Each roll could have at the same time, 3 advantages, 4 disadvantages, 1 extreme success, and an extreme failure, all in the same thing.
Yep.
Which, like, might sound radical, but it's
And it is.
if-
Narratively, it's
It
epic.
is. Well,
here's the thing.
Yeah.
Narratively is epic. ... If the GM
Okay.
at the moment when
Yeah.
it happens has a great idea for all that stuff to be
Yeah.
nicely put together in a book.
Right.
One of the time when I was playing that game, they failed what they were doing, but had 6 advantages, which is basically a double crit according to the rules.
Mhm.
It's like, so you cannot do the thing you set out to do, but I also have to give you something incredible, and all you were trying to do was open a door.
You missed the stormtrooper, but
So-
you blew up the Death Star.
Sorry, so like
Such
it is
a
a
good way
great
to put
it is a great game if you're really good at it. But I think the simpler the rules that allow you room to narrate in the vacuum work great for actual plays. If there's a lot of crunch, they can work. I mean, obviously, we see a ton of things that work really well in doing that, but they have their own way of handling the crunch.
Mhm.
They have a way of dealing with when this bogs down and gets crunchy. They've come up with a way of solving that problem. And if you use them, you do need to come up with a way to solve the problem of the momentum goes to this. How do we keep it here? The problem is it's going to drop off. So through editing, through choices, what are we doing? How are we fixing it so that the momentum always stays in these very crunchy games?
But what if you don't get to edit it? What if it's a live AP?
Yeah. Well, hopefully there's an agreement beforehand of how you're handling those things. Part of a lot of doing streaming, there's a lot of conversation that happens before the game,
Mhm.
depending on the system that you're running.
And between sessions.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah. If it's a one shot, generally the person that's running it will say, "Here's how we're going to handle blah 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 blah," including here's how we're going to handle interference from chat. Which is sometimes we are ignoring chat, and I want none of you to look at chat while the game is going on. To all of you need to be paying attention to chat because chat has an absolute effect on the game.
They're making donations and you get advantage, blah 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 blah. Yeah, oh my
Yeah.
god.
So you need to have in any of these things, any actual play, you have to have the conversation beforehand of how you are going to handle these things so that when you're doing it live, no takes, no breaks, you all are on the same page of how this is going to go on. You have the tools in place also if things go off the rails or go way outside of people's safety limits, that they have a way to quickly tell the person running it, A, we need to cut and go to break. B, we need to get off the subject and quickly change. C, we're just going to keep going and push through it, maybe, depending on what's happening. But all of that has to be discussed beforehand.
Yes.
It also has to happen before you start your actual play. You're going to have to set the ground rules of how you're running this thing with everybody who's going to do it and make sure they're all fine with it before you jump into recording. We had at least 2 months of conversation before we ever recorded our first episode, before we even picked up mics and did anything. We weren't even sure that we wanted to do it long term, but we had still talked about all of the things that we were going to compensate for about 2 months before we started episode 1.
As a matter of fact, we were certain it wasn't going to last
We
very
did
long
too, we
because
did.
the premise seems like it's just a gimmick, but it turned out it actually rules. You should listen to our show; it's pretty good.
It's a lot of fun, I do have to say. Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
All right, that was my long answer about games.
Well,
You're up.
oh great.
Go.
Well, it depends. Is it a one shot or a mini or a long campaign? Because there's radical different answers for each one.
Sounds like you have to give 3 answers.
I do. One shots always, man. 1-page RPGs.
Yeah.
Goat
Honey Heist.
Crashers. I am so hard into Goat Crashers. Goat Crashers is amazing. You play a goat and you're trying to crash a human party. That's it. You roll a die to figure out what kind of goat you are, and then what is your literally what is your reason for crashing the party? For some stupid reason, I always happen to roll a bighorn ram, and I want to reenact the movie Die Hard. and I love it.
It's karma. Is what
Yeah,
we call it.
I
It's
think so.
karma.
But man, one shots, one page RPGs are fantastic for one shots. Whether it's just a bunch of you hanging around in a home game, or you want to throw something up on a really fast Twitch stream or something like that, it is amazing to just throw out Honey Heist, Goat Crashers, Ninja Burger, who no one ever does, and it's awesome. Just all of these. If it's a mini run, say like 8 episodes, start to stretch it out. My favorite, and I've never been able to run it, and I'm dying, is Paranoia.
Oh
Yes.
no!
But specifically the second edition
Okay.
of Paranoia,
All right.
because
She's bringing me back.
oh yeah, Paranoia is.
I left with that, and now I'm coming back.
If none of you have ever played Paranoia, you are a troubleshooter in Alpha Complex. It's way in the dystopian future, and you are a clone. You have 6 clones. So, but once you run out clone 6, done. The problem is, as a troubleshooter, you have to go shoot trouble, literally. You have to go find mutants, members of secret societies, and things that are going to bother the computer. The problem is, you are a mutant and or a member of a secret society, and you bother the computer. So you're trying to kill all of your other friends, all your other coworkers, while trying to stay alive. If you're playing a game of Paranoia and people aren't on their 3rd clone within the first 30 minutes, you're doing it wrong. I've always wanted to play like an 8-shot Paranoia game where it's just clone after clone after clone, but troubleshooter after troubleshooter. Somebody goes through all 6 clones, another different kind is airdropped in. It's just this nothing but frenetic chaos of just gore fest of just like clone everywhere. And then it ends up with, but the thing is, it's the premise. If you're a red troubleshooter, they have the Roy G. Biv security clearances. If you're red, you can't go into orange and above. But suddenly, you are a red troubleshooter. Your job is to deliver a sandwich to a blue security ops. How the hell are you going to do that? You walk into any other clearance level, you are shot and killed because you are a traitor to friend computer. It's such a fucking retcon. I love Paranoia so much. Long-term campaigns, I ran 2 seasons of Leverage. Leverage is a Cortex Prime, Cortex Plus system. Super easy. It's like you have it's a D4 through a D12. You either have something really bad as a D4, something really good as a D12, and you plus or minus a different roll. The same thing is any D20 system from Modiphius, as long as you're not doing combat.
Yep.
Combat gets real ugly and crunchy. So if you have a good GM, they do fun things so you don't have to. So combat in Modiphius is like you have zones and somebody is moving into this zone on your right, but then you have to try and stab them through that zone with the weapon in your hand, and you drop that, so that asset, it just goes blank. But if you just go, okay, so give me a, pick your skill there. Okay, cool, the guy's dead. Much easier. And you can run long campaigns, and they don't always have to be D&D or Pathfinder or anything produced by Kobold Press or WotC. Or it's like
I'll add to that there are role-playing games out there that are designed for one-shots because they're based around like an episode of TV. Monster of the Week is a complicated game, but it is also Monster of the Week is in the name. I wrote my Scooby-Doo game Mystery Business, which is also considered episodic. Like you can do one episode of Scooby-Doo and it exists, or you can do a season of Scooby-Doo.
Kids on bikes.
Kids on bikes. Kids on brooms. Kids on capes. Kids doing
space.
Kids on every conceivable thing.
The one I'm working on, programs on light cycles.
Oh.
Hey.
I love me some Tron. Any game can work in any of those as long as you know what you're trying to do with it. And
one shots are for D&D are everywhere. So of course,
and it is possible to take a one-page game and make it into a campaign with a lot of creativity. and a lot of work.
I
But,
did
you
a
know,
3-month campaign of Ninja Burger.
yeah, I mean, it can happen. So I think much more to think about. I always say, think about what you're trying to do with your actual play, and then find the system that helps you do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, when I'm selecting, so we rotate who's the GM on Very Random Encounters, and
Because it's very random.
It's very random.
well, it's not randomly determined anymore. Where it's in an order.
It's
but-
an out in order. We did
That
the
one's ordered.
random GM thing.
Well, no, we started. The initial season, we were like, we'll just randomly decide who's the GM next time, and we did that the first time. And we were like, never again.
Never
No.
again. This is
'Cause
awful.
the person needs to be thinking about it.
The person
before-
needs to plan
before
and
they're in
do
charge
all
of a whole
the
season.
stuff.
But
That was a bad idea.
when I'm selecting something to run for a whole season of VRE, I want to choose something that's simplistic but has a lot of narrative focus. So Powered by the Apocalypse is a great choice. I've done Root. We have run Monster of the Week.
Mhm.
I'm currently running Land of Eam for our current season, which is Violence Ball, which is kind of like Blood Bowl. It's exactly Blood Bowl, but don't tell Game Workshop.
Don't tell anybody.
Don't tell Game Workshop.
It is legally distinct violence ball. Thank you.
Have you
But
ever done any of the like Blades in the Dark or Scum and Villainy or anything
So-
like that?
I don't like Blades in the Dark, so no.
A lot of people don't because at first it seems great, and then all of a sudden by
I
like episode 6, it's
have-
crunchy as hell.
I have a lot of issues with just the basic rules of
Mhm.
that game.
Yeah, no, it's rough. It's rough.
So we also haven't done Fate, and I do like Fate. We just haven't done one because it's not fit. Although we may be doing, I don't know.
Your Blades in the Dark is my fate.
Yeah,
ooh,
I mean,
Cannot.
there are
can't,
issues with Fate.
Cannot issues. There's subscriptions.
Well, there
with
are.
Fate.
Look, we're making things work.
so to keep going for a one shot, like for here, right? We do a Very Random Encounters live, and we did it last year. And the first time we ever did a live show, I did Ghost Court. I don't know if you all are familiar with Ghost Court, but that does work one time and that's it. But
Yeah.
really fun.
It was very fun.
But the other two live shows that we've done at Dragon Con have been my game Imaginary Friend Fight, which is like Taskmaster, but you just choose any character in fiction, and then it's like the Mojo verse.
Yeah.
That is great for Dragon Con because everybody who's on the panel gets to have a ton of fun choosing who they want to be. They're, we yesterday we had Miss Frizzle, Kermit the Frog,
Kermit the Frog. I was Kermit the
Doodle
Frog.
Bob, like the SpongeBob sketch version,
and the
and the
Hamburglar.
Hamburglar. Yeah,
I've always wanted to use that and make it just Kurt Russell characters.
that sounds
could.
great.
Yeah,
That sounds
but you
great.
have to go between Cadillac Man and you can't include like Guardians of the Galaxy or anything like that, but it has to be like Cadillac Man to probably like mid 90s, like Overboard, something like that. The thing, yeah, well, of course,
Captain Ron.
Captain
Captain
Ron,
Ron.
Escape from New York, Escape from LA,
I-
Snake Plissken.
You know,
I
like
saw
even if you
Escape from New York
have
in
Ego,
yeah.
this game. I mean, Ego might have to bake a pie or whatever. Like,
yeah.
he's not like that great.
But I've always wanted. I love that game. I've wanted to play it so bad on an actual play for like a charity stream.
Yeah.
And have it something just inane and just
I
dumb.
love theming for the
Yeah.
characters. Like
Everybody has to play a Tom Cruise
Yeah.
character,
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Oh,
amazing.
no. I'm
including
out.
What's that?
including
What's that?
from South Park.
Ooh,
I'm still
Okay.
out.
Oh,
Still out. You're not gonna sell me on South
yeah,
Park
yeah,
anything.
no, that is a good point. But yeah, it's so much fun. And
Yeah.
honestly, I think one shots, man, to do an actual play of just one shots.
It's
I
an
mean,
idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
TM.
our show alternates between longer seasons that are anywhere from a dozen to like 20 something episodes, and then shorter one shots with a special guest. So we kind of are already doing that.
But there's
Not to brag.
interfaced with
Yeah.
Yeah.
longer things.
Yeah.
It's like literally every week,
Every
different
week.
game.
Every week a different game.
That's challenging because you even now, like it takes a while for me to figure out what game I want to do because at this point we've done 25 or something
Yeah.
systems on the show.
There's a lot of games.
There's a
out
ton of games.
There's a lot of good games out there.
Check out itch.io. All right, the last question before we go to audience questions. I want to do, what rule do you bring to every single one of your games?
Oh.
So are we including safety rules?
Yeah, sure.
So
yeah,
for
yeah.
anytime you're getting around a group of people, you need to sort of do a safety everything. Find out what are their absolute no's. Like I have massive fears around things happening to eyes, which is a huge problem playing Baldur's Gate 3. So that is a strict do not don't go no eyes, no eye things,
It's an
please.
excellent-
That's an X.
People are like absolutely nothing with spiders. The thought of having a spider show up is horrific. So those are all things.
Man, the Underdark sucks for you.
Yeah, I mean I'm fine with.
Act 1
I'm
is,
fine with
is a
spiders.
tough
But
hang.
I play with people who are absolutely no spiders.
Oh, okay.
I guess we're
like,
not-
No,
we're going-
I thought you were saying
Yeah.
like things with eyes and spiders.
I'm
like,
fine with
that's the
spiders.
whole
Wow.
thing.
Like there you go. That's the
Yeah,
Underdark.
but there are people who are like no spiders. I'm like, ooh, we were going to go to the Underdark, and now we're going to go to the Underdark Beach Resort where it's all crabs,
Undercrabs.
undercrabs.
That sounds
legally
different.
distinct from
You can-
spiders.
They actually sell something at CVS that gets rid of the undercrabs.
I've heard.
Ooh,
Uh,
deep cut.
safety, generally safety. The other sort of major just rule is at any time we can stop if we need a break, even if it's a live stream.
Mhm.
At any time, if somebody's like, I cannot, I really need to be, we will break. And it doesn't matter where, like, if it's in the middle of a story, if it's in the middle of a combat, and they're like, oh, all right, cliffhanger, you'll hear the combat after we're gone. We're going to go take a 5-minute break. Breaks, being able to be fine with taking a break, or if you're doing just a recording and it's not live stream, being able to say we need to stop so we can just talk about what happened, because I am either completely lost. So our friend Lee sometimes is like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know where we are. I have no who's where. Please,
Lee has the thing where you can't
she can't.
no pictures.
She
in
can't
your head.
picture. So it's
That could-
easy for her when we have a long explanations of things for her to go,
Huh?
I don't. Can we stop and draw a picture for me so I can visualize it? So any times when somebody just says, hey, we need to stop for a while,
Mhm.
stop for a while and meet that need. I think one of the things about actual plays that's somewhat different than a home game, you can kind of be meaner to your friends.
I have no idea what you're talking about. You shut your mouth.
Look, we're gonna get the drama here after this thing. For actual play stuff, for everybody to remain enthused and happy and included and willing to be a part of the project, you need to take care of everybody and make sure that their needs are met. We did a horror season, and I did a very bad job at keeping myself safe. I was playing a very, very terrible character, and I didn't do the work that I knew I had to do to sort of separate myself from that character, and I wasn't doing that work. And I did towards the end be like, we need to do something fun so I know you all like me,
Mhm.
because I can no longer differentiate. I have to be horrible to you, and I'm being horrible to my friends, and I'm not doing the work
Ooh,
to
bleed.
Yeah, bleed.
yeah, the problem it's called bleed. And I'm a trained actor, so I theoretically knew how to deal with it. I just wasn't doing it, which was my mistake. But I did have to have a like, okay, can
Yeah.
can you all just say something nice
Aw.
about me, because I feel terrible, and then I can go back to being literally one of the worst people in the world.
that was a toughie.
that was a
season.
toughie.
On the subject of like lines and veils, do keep in mind, because the show would be for an audience when you're making an actual play, that things that come up like spiders or eyeball stuff might go in your description for content warnings.
Mhm.
That's a very helpful thing for listeners, because somebody running into that suddenly is can be a roughie.
Like literally it just has to be a quick disclaimer
Mhm.
at the beginning. It's like, hey, by the way, the combat in this is going to be really gnarly and bad things happen. And, if you don't like this squeamish thing, you probably should skip to 3109.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. If it gets really rough, then
Yeah.
give timestamps.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
I guess I'm next, eh?
Mhm.
I only really have, other than safety tool, I use safety tools in every single game, whether it's an AP or a home game. And my home games can get really heavy with very, very deep cultural things. But whatever it is, home game, one shot, online campaign, whatever, my number one rule is no main characters. It is a party.
Mm-hmm.
It is a story of a bunch of people. You can have vignettes. You can go like, okay, this time, like for this few number of sessions, it's their general backstory is coming up. But then immediately it's just like, nope, party. What is the party going to do in that backstory? In our home game, one of the characters was, for all intents and purposes, divorced from their family. Their family is the member of a royal family who ended up inheriting the city. Her aunt was a complete nightmare. So it was in her story arc, she decided to depose her mother and make sure her aunt didn't come to power over all that. And then the party basically did Les Miserables, including the horse cart. It was amazing.
Which song did they pick?
Yes. Yeah, it's just like, no, literally, they started in a tavern. They had red bandanas on their arms.
Heck
It's just
yeah.
the whole thing. And then they left before everything had bad happened. They're
Like
just like,
you do.
we're out. As you do.
Like you do.
But it's always no main characters. You can have a main character of the moment.
Yeah.
You can have a vignette, a story
spotlight.
beat, something like that, a spotlight.
Yep.
But if it's all of a sudden the angry paladin show, then you've got 5 other players who are like, why am I here?
Mhm.
And that, yeah, home game or actual play, no main characters, period.
That's a good one.
It's an ensemble.
You
Yeah.
may be noticing that like most of the rules besides production stuff are probably pretty good at your home game too. Just not like it's just not as necessary, I guess.
Right. I mean, if it's a home game, it's a bunch of friends, then you should already know what people's lines and veils are and how much you can push them.
Should.
Should. How much
Should.
you should.
Should
Yeah.
not could.
Don't.
Not should.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean either one. But
Yeah. Either one.
All right,
Yes.
we got 15 minutes.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
If we have
Ooh.
questions out there,
Oh, wait. I do want to say I bring to every single game from Uncharted Worlds Cramped Quarters, which is where everybody makes or chooses a character to have a scene with, and then you roll 2d6 and determine if it was them having like getting closer, them having beef, which is extremely funny every time, or them revealing more of that character's past.
Mhm.
All 3 options are great. And like if you have a party that's traveling like 100 miles, they're going to talk, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time we fast forward through that, but I encourage people to have moments with characters in those moments.
questions. What do we have? Bring it up.
Wow, that was fast. You're
Heck
just
yeah.
like up. It's like, let's go.
Well, since I am the line, I hope you don't mind if I ask 2 questions.
Yeah, it's fine.
Go for it.
First of all, since this is a have fun, which do you think is more fun, actually doing your show with everybody around one table or the virtual table with people calling on in, or zooming on in, or discording on in, or doing their BS on in?
Huh. I think potentially it's more fun to have everybody at the table, but it's also logistically much harder. So that can lean into not fun.
I don't. Fun isn't for me. They will. Oh, both of them are fun.
Yeah.
They feel very different. The thing about when everyone's on their computer in their own spaces is it's very easy for them to get distracted.
Mhm.
So it's not that it's not fun. It's making sure you're doubling the effort to keep everybody in tuned. That's not to say that you don't also have that problem when everybody's around the table, because people will get distracted there too. But it's harder for them to not notice when everybody's doing this.
Right.
It's your turn.
Yeah.
And so that tends to, when you're with people. The other thing is,
Stop looking for that one die.
yeah,
Just
Uh,
roll it.
we as humans communicate mostly through body language. So if you're not on camera, you need to be aware of how that will affect you. You can't see the cues that somebody's ready to speak. You
Mhm.
just sort of have to find that rhythm when you can't see each other. But again, both are incredibly fun because I do both all the time. It's just that I have separate expectations of how I need to behave and control the table or be at that table if I'm with people or if they're virtual.
I haven't run a table game in I don't remember how long. But I can't fucking wait for tomorrow. Am I allowed to swear on the podcast? I forgot that we're recording.
Swear? I don't know.
Yeah,
Can we
do.
swear?
Is it swear time?
Yeah.
We got to
I
Gosh,
can't
Morgan.
wait.
Yeah.
So oh, okay, cool. So I've been running this home game for 4 years via Zoom. We are all here for the first time at Dragon Con, and we are having an in-session game tomorrow.
Good plug. Well plugged.
Yeah.
And
Very excited.
it's going to be amazing. And I have put down a rule that since they're all dressing as their characters as well, there is no so X, Y, and Z does this person does that. It is no. If you're sitting at this game, you are saying I.
One thing I do know if you haven't played together for a while, you're virtual and you get all together, it's really hard not to just randomly spot about things that are going on in your life. It's so easy when you see people finally in person to do all the small talk and all the catch up that I'm like, okay, we've been here for 2 hours and we have yet to actually start the game.
That's why we're
So-
doing it all ahead of time during
Correct.
the rest of it. And we're
Yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. It's
Right.
like let's all trauma dump on like Thursday through
Thursday.
Saturday.
And then Sunday is
And
game
it's
time.
Sunday's the game. Monday, whoever's left, we're at the bar.
All right, question 2.
Question 2. Also, one of the obviously most fun things about this is that sometimes you get compensation for it. Which
You do?
revenue stream do you find to actually be fun to generate, and as opposed to just being a lot of work and a pain in the ass?
They are all a lot of work.
Yeah.
They're
So
most of them don't really want to help you make money.
Yeah.
And they really don't have a desire to make sure that you're maximizing their money
Mhm.
unless they like you. And then they'll give you like, oh, here's the secrets. You should be doing this.
Mhm.
This is how our algorithm works. And you should be doing this. I think mostly, although this is changing recently, generally Patreon was the best as far as sharing its money with you.
Mhm.
They are getting weird.
well, it's
Right
the
now.
the Google and Apple
Are making them get weird.
Yeah.
So
Share the revenue with the companies.
with the companies, so those things are changing.
But even still, like Patreon is easy enough to set up,
Mhm.
and that's how how our show
Yeah.
makes money.
Charity stuff. There's a lot of great charity things that will handle all the money, so you never have to see it. If
Tiltify.
you're doing charity stuff, there are a number. Tiltify is one of the great ones. There are a number of ones where you can literally say the money never comes to my account; it goes straight to them, and I'm out of it, which is really really good. Crowdfunding stuff, Kickstarter. I've done 2 Kickstarter campaigns. They have both been stressful nightmares to deal with.
Mhm.
But sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah,
I mean, you kind of have to get stressed out to
Yeah,
make
yeah.
money.
there are some that are coming in that are promising to be better. I've tried to work with them. That again, like anything, they are better in this aspect and worse in this.
You're talking about
aspect.
crowdfunding or two?
So
or
there's
different revenue streams?
crowdfunding. There's Backer Kit is
Yeah.
entering this thing. There's Game Fund, which is very specific for board games, but now they're trying to branch out. And then there's the more indie one that doesn't actually
Oh,
ever fund anything.
yeah.
Indiegogo,
Go,
which is
yeah,
the worst
exactly.
of them all. The other thing to realize is Kickstarter's the best because 30% of their projects fund.
Mhm.
And they're the best.
Mm.
That is the thing you need to realize. You can ask for money and people may never give it.
Yeah.
That is the sort of thing that you also just be aware of them. All of them have pluses, all of them have minuses.
Do not count on YouTube or Twitch though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
YouTube and Twitch are bad.
Yeah.
YouTube really never wants to give you money.
Mhm.
Really doesn't. They will find a lot of ways to not pay
Or
you.
demonetize you if there's any game characters. Goodbye.
Goodbye,
money.
demonetized.
And Twitch, and it's you hear of all these big campaigns on Twitch. if your actual play has an average of 10 viewers, you are doing more than you're in the top like
Yeah.
10% of
Yeah.
Twitch.
Yeah.
It's
The
insane.
numbers
to
are
think
incredibly small to
Yeah.
be in the top.
Yeah.
To answer like the question that you didn't ask, how to actually play and keep it fun is do not rely on the actual
Income,
play
yeah,
to
exactly.
feed
To
you
fund-
yeah,
yeah.
and
nope.
to your
Yep.
family.
Mhm. All right. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Next,
Don't do it for cash.
do it
That's
for
how
prestige.
right.
I mean,
do it for exposure.
we are lucky enough for this to like make all the money that we spend on it back, and then able to fund us going to these kind of things.
I'm actually currently in the process of going from in-person podcasting for a Cyberpunk Red game that we were doing
Right.
in Charleston. Now I've moved to Atlanta, and I'm about to convert to like distance gaming. Are there any certain like apps that you guys prefer when you're doing like an online, like you mentioned, I think Zoom calls, any certain audio?
So
Yeah.
Discord has
Yeah.
great audio for what it
Okay.
is, whereas like something
And
like
for free.
Yeah.
and for
Yeah.
free. And you can set up a channel that's just for you, or like we do, if the show has a bunch of fans, you can just have them go to that Discord and then just have locked channels for
Yeah.
the voice and secret channels that you need to like discuss the game or whatever.
Discord is very, very good at recording audio. The video part
Okay.
of it is
Garbage fire.
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Um,
And luckily, I'm not planning on doing like. I like having the video aspect, like you were saying. I need to be able to see what your
Yeah.
face is doing. Otherwise, I don't know if you're angry or not.
Are you going to give your audience video, like audio and video, or just audio?
Probably just audio.
Oh,
Oh,
then
okay.
it doesn't
Okay,
really
yeah,
matter
then-
which video
I would
you
say
use.
Discord.
The
Yeah,
thing to keep
the
in
video
mind
is for me.
is like if you don't pay for Zoom, you have an hour and it cuts off.
Oh.
So if you aren't paying, if somebody isn't paying for Zoom, which I learned the hard way during the
Yeah.
pandemic, an hour into us playing our game, the call quit, and we're like, "Oh, and we're done."
Okay.
So I ended up paying during the pandemic for Zoom, which wasn't expensive, but it's still an expense.
It's a cost.
Discord doesn't do that, but the quality is bad.
Right.
Microsoft Teams also you have to pay for things.
It's also so bad.
It's also
It's really
really
bad.
slow and so bad.
The worst.
The thing that we always do is have backups of backups of backups.
Mhm.
So record locally,
Yeah.
have a way to back it up on the cloud, and have if you can figure out a third way to back it up.
Yeah,
There's
what I
been-
don't see is
it
your
has
friend.
been very rare that we've lost audio,
Okay.
but when we have and we didn't have the backup, I had to go listen to myself and re-record.
Greg did the best. Like you cannot tell. I defy you to go find where Greg did this, but we had guests, so it's like we can't scrap this audio. It was one of our special guest mini seasons, and just Greg's audio was gone. So he had to go back in and listen to the conversation and just respond as if like he's role playing as past Greg.
Dare you to find where the cutoff is?
Yeah.
Wait, you 80-yard yourself
Uh-huh.
from something that was live and then
Uh-huh.
record. Good dude.
Uh-huh.
Dude. I
Uh-huh.
know you're a trained actor, but come
That's
on.
some
Have
Uh-huh.
fun.
there.
I
Well
we
done.
still ask
Wow.
people like listen to the episodes and see if you can figure out.
No,
No.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Nope.
There's
Never
only
part the
how
phone out.
many to
Yeah.
go through?
It
Jesus.
was a mini
Sit through
season.
it.
We'll narrow it down to it was a mini
It was
season.
Okay. So it's a mini.
Audio or did you have video texting? Like,
No, we didn't. We don't do video. It was
Okay.
just audio.
Wow.
80-yard yourself. Only audio.
From past experiences and doing it knowing what is going knowing what's coming.
Knowing what's coming, and also trying to ask it because I was the GM, so doing questions.
You were the GM?
Yeah, that super
I was
narrows
the
it down.
GM. It really narrows it. I was the GM, so I had
But no, now my no. Stuff's just my brain is melted at this point.
all right. Yeah.
Wow.
Any other? We have very limited time left. So any other
Wait,
questions?
already? Oh my god.
Somebody else? Yes.
We're gonna do one more.
Oh come on. Dallas, sit down.
You knew this was coming.
Yeah, shut
Yeah.
up.
All right. So, basically, you've given us a lot of information about things that you've had to do in order to accommodate the fact that you're doing an actual play. Is there anything like structurally that you would have done in a home game but found yourself unable to do because of the actual play format?
Oh.
So sessions of VRE are at most an hour because we want our show to be around, like 30 to 45 minutes each time. And so, when I do a sit down game, we're there for a minimum of 3 hours, right? So you have to, truncate some. I mean, it's not even like that, right? But it's a shorter time frame. So sometimes I wish we could play for a long time and get really, really deep into whatever, but that's not
Yeah.
the nature
One
of the
of
show.
the things about an actual play that you can't do it in a home game, you kind of have to hyper focus. You really need to know, whoever's running that game really needs to know, we need to go from point A to point B. And I know you want to go to Z and X and Y, but we need to go from point A
Mm-hmm.
to point B. Everybody on the same page. We're going from A to B for this episode. And we have this much time to do it. And then we're going to leave it as a cliffhanger because that's fun.
Yeah, unless it is an endless campaign with no discernible or scheduled end. Yeah, you have to, it's a little bit of railroading, but it's weird. I don't know, the kind of GM I am, I love ending everything in a cliffhanger. Every
it's
single-
exciting.
Yeah, home games even. You can attest to this.
3 hours like clockwork, and
Yeah.
then there's
And then
something dramatic.
And it's just
Cliffhanger.
like every episode of when I did Dune, Desert Fall, it just ends just immediately like, and next week. It's just there's something, whether it's home game, I take that to both, but it is
We're done.
Yeah.
Oh, time's up.
We're done.
Time up.
We have a minute.
Thank you, folks.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh my.
well, they can
well, yeah.
stop.
Yeah. Thank you all very much for coming.
For coming. Yeah, that was
If you
fun.
ask questions, I've got my TTRPG and my other TTRPG. We have a copy of the book that we wrote with our podcast co-hosts.
So good.
And then I've got pins for anybody else that wants.
So come on up, grab
One of
stuff,
those.
and we're going to get out.
I have to hop to a concert.
Oh, fun.
I'm gonna
Cybertronic Spring
quick.
playing in Atlanta, but not at Dragon Con this year.
We got pronouns.
Yeah, they're doing it.
Or like.
But, oh, this was for my sweat. Yeah. Sorry. No. Dude, that was so much fun as always. Sorry, I don't mean to elbow my way in, but
No.
gotta be on one of your fucking games.
Yeah, dude. Do you want to guest on the show sometime?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, then yeah.
I'll do
Well,
that.
then make it happen. Cramped quarters.
We should get actually get a little elaboration of it. Because I always want to struggle to try to get connection between players.
Yeah. So I've used it in not just in the actual play setting, but in games where some of my players were bashful, like you're describing. And you just tell them, like, you have to have a scene with somebody. You don't have to make them like role play it, but they still need to say, my character does this, reacts like this, says this. Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Thank you for coming.
Nobody grabbed it.
Yeah.
Well, I was saying, I grabbed the book. It's a really good book.
Oh boy. Thanks. Can you get the other handouts, Greg?
Our handout, that.
Okay. Wait. Oh, Trevor hasn't done on the show. They really want to get this.
What's that sound person? Is he? No.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So I just plugged it in. What I got?
And you will be in control.
Hmm?